So, without further ado, it is my pleasure. We now will have the Abaco Update and Bahamas VAT Update from the one and only Mr. Joe Dargavage, moderator, Erika Feszt, and John Pinder. This is your cue to walk. There we go, Joe. Joe, that was a very good pause. I was very proud of you on that. That was very good. And the floor is yours, Joe.
Thank you. You hold my hand too.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning from the islands of the Bahamas. My name is Joe Dargavage, and I am one of the owners of Romora Bay Resort and Marina in Harbor Island, and as well as United Island and Yacht in Nassau and here in Fort Lauderdale. In addition to that, and a lot of you know me through what's real important to us is the Association of Bahamas Marinas, where I'm the active president. I have with me today to give two excellent updates, and I tried to get people that could really give you as most informative information that you could possibly get. And so we are very honored today to actually have the Honorable John Pinder, a member of the Bahamian Parliament as MP for the Abacos, and our Parliamentary Secretary for Ministry of Tourism. In addition, we have Ms. Erika Feszt, who is the manager at Bay Street Marina, one of the largest marinas in the Bahamas, and probably home to the majority of charter vessels that visit Nassau and are based in Nassau. They kind of find themselves at Bay Street Marina. Erika, along with myself and Laura Garcia, are also the co-chairs for the 2023 Bahamas Charter Yacht Show that we're going to talk about briefly as well today and tell you a little bit about that. So we are happy to have Erika as well. We're going to start the conversation in what, primarily this morning. I know a lot of you guys have questions on the VAT. We're going to leave that for Miss Terry and everybody else to the end, if that's okay, because then that will bring questions and stuff. And we want to start with the positive. Not that that's not positive, but we want to start with all the good and wonderful reasons why vessels even charter in the Bahamas to begin with. And when Paul asked me this particular time to do this, I've done a few others with the IYBA, which I'm very proud to be a member of. We wanted to venture out of our regular areas. We all know that the main circuit, if you will, for our charter vessels is often Nassau, Exuma, Harbor Island, or somewhere in the fashion of those. But a lot of the charters are really starting to venture out, and we're very proud to talk about those areas, especially the Abacos, when a lot has happened since the hurricane, and one of the reasons we're proud to have Honorable Mr. Pinder here with us is that he can give us a full and accurate update on the Abacos. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about the southern islands, which getting down into Cat Island, Long Island, and an area that a lot of the vessels are starting to go to. I know for a long time, and still today, the Exumas has been the go-to, okay? And we love that, and we thank you for that. But the Exumas also only encompass a small part of who we are. We encompass over 100,000 square miles, and we are a chain of over 700 islands. And so there are a lot of other neat and unique places to go as well. The one thing that's interesting about chartering in the Bahamas is the fact that you can clear in one time. We're an archipelagic that you have encompasses a vast area, and that's it. So you're visiting many different islands with actually many different cultures, because as you spread throughout the Bahamas, things get different. The music gets a little different, and the dancing to Junkanoo gets a little different, and the food style gets a little different. And so that's what really, some of the things that really make the Bahamas really unique. So we're going to start, if it's okay with everybody, with Mr. Pinder, and I'm going to let him share a little bit about the Abacos, not only his love for the Abacos, but what's happening in the Abacos, and to kind of an update post-Dorian.
Great. So everyone knows that Dorian devastated the central economic zone of Abaco. The good news is we're coming back very nicely and very strong. The better news is the things that are being built are all upgraded. So the marinas are upgraded, the slips are upgraded, the accommodations, the restaurants, and so on and so forth. We have Walker's Key all the way up to the north. We have Spanish Key, which is a port of entry. Walker's, I believe they could take up to 200 or something like that. You might want to check with them. And then as we work down to the area that was most devastated, which are the Keys, Hopetown, Man-o'-War, Guanakee, Marsh Harbor area. We have the Hopetown Inn and Marina right there in central harbor front in Hopetown, taken up to a little bit more than 120 footers. Full accommodations, restaurants, and so on and so forth, right next to the iconic lighthouse. Sea Spray Resort, which was another one that is being rebuilt and looks to be back in operation by first quarter next year. That's going to be a total revamp of that marina in itself. And then in Marsh Harbor area, we also have places like Concan, which is a beautiful facility. The marina is up and running, the restaurant's up and running. They're finishing off the hotel aspect of it. We have Harbor View Marina, which is right next door. The docks are up and running. They're still working on the facility side of it. But those are all marinas that could take 120, 130-foot boats very easily. And then, we have the iconic Baker's Bay. Orchid Bay in Guanakee is still under construction. But I foresee that to be a really nice facility moving forward. The Abacos has a lot of demand. We have a lot of things to do. The Sea of Abaco is a playhouse for anything on the water. And our national parks there and so on and so forth are really gems of the Abacos. The Keys are coming back very nicely, very strong. And the facilities, like I previously said, are upgraded. They're good for... They're taking the new technology, the new docks, and so on and so forth, and really placing them in there. The downtown Marsh Harbor area is coming back. That's like the service front. That's where all the provisioning would come from, and so on and so forth. I don't want to leave out Boat Harbor. There's capacity for up to 200 plus feet right there in Boat Harbor, Great Abaco Beach Resort. A beautiful facility put back together really nicely. There's a wide range of marinas and accommodations throughout the Abacos to accommodate many different size boats. And then there's a lot of new stuff that's coming up as well. We used to say about new stuff, there's the deep south of Abaco. There's some new investments coming up in there, marinas, super yacht marinas, and so on and so forth. They're just on the cusp of breaking ground. But you'll hear a lot more of them in the upcoming years. So the Abacos are not only coming back in a real positive way, but there's going to be a lot more variety, and it's almost like an archipelago within an archipelago, because there's so many different keys and places to touch and see. You could really spend months there and never touch the same key or the same place again. So it's really special. I'm slightly biased.
Well, and I will tell you that our current administration, which is a new administration from about a little over a year ago, has really put a regained focus on boating and yachting in the Bahamas, especially yachting. As a matter of fact, Mr. Pinder was just in Monaco with myself and a group of people, including our Deputy Minister of Tourism, Dr. Romora, to really see firsthand, the impact of the large boat market as well as the charter market. And they are really embracing it. And even when we get to our second conversation a little bit later, you're gonna get a true understanding of Mr. Pinder and what we're trying to do to not only better the yachting market in the Bahamas, make it better and easier on the chartering side, as well as having people that will listen to us and are willing to, okay, if the industry says that we need to try and tweak a certain part of something, well, then they're going to go back and fight for that. And so that's one of the reasons why he's here as well. And then getting on to Erika. Erika, before we get on to the fun topic of the upcoming charter show, you see a lot of your vessels come into Bay Street Marina, and you know where they're going because they go and they come back and they go and come back. You know, tell us a little about what you're seeing and the trends you're seeing on the charter market side and places that are going differently. We know the go-to is still the Exumas, but
Sure.
things are starting to open up to a lot of other places.
Yeah, the go-to is primarily Exuma and Eleuthera, but we have now a lot of yachts are now traveling further south. The southern islands of the Bahamas are beautiful and pretty much untapped in regards to Exuma and Eleuthera. You have San Salvador, which is one of my favorite islands. You've got direct flights from Paris. We've got Club Med there, so it's the closest island to Bermuda in Europe. So it's easy to get to. A lot of people don't know that. But the yachts can go down there and be ready for their guests and have them fly in, or even seaplane to the yacht, and it is beautiful there. So we're finding a lot in the fishing, the diving in San Salvador, Ragged Island is beautiful. So there are a lot of yachts now that are being a little bit more adventurous with not sticking to Exuma and Eleuthera.
Exactly. And as Erika said, what we're blessed with in the Bahamas is a series of airports that are second to none almost anywhere in the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. They were built very long, some militarily reasons, some other reasons. Yeah. They had these long runways going back into the 60s and 70s.
80s.
So they're all pretty much the same size, just under 6,000 feet. So in North Eleuthera, we get aircraft coming all the time. The bulk of all charter guests come in by private aircraft. And what you have today, let me just tell you, out in the hallway, when you have a chance to venture out, not only do you have the Bahamas Ministry of Tourism, not only do you have Odyssey Aviation, which is one of our top FBOs, you have representatives from different yacht agencies, United Shipping and United Island Yacht, and Bahamas Centric, and Margo, and some other people. So we're here to answer your questions out there. But the bottom line is we're set up in what we call the out islands or the family islands to be able to receive your guests directly to where the yacht is, almost anywhere in the Bahamas. We also have Tropic Ocean Airways, which is only one of a few seaplane operators that are now really servicing the super yacht industry, where they're basically pulling right up to the boat and delivering the guests.
And there's a new seaplane company that's coming. I think they're going to be opening up in November with a mall, so they'll be able to really get into places that not all of the larger ones can.
Go ahead, John.
And something I want to add to that, you know, it's an often misconception that the sizable yachts cannot get down south. Mm-hmm. Well, we have our channels are natural and they're geographic. Yes, we have beautiful sand banks that come right out of the water, but there's also channels that bypass those. And with the technology that we have today in terms of GPS, and the navigational aids, you can really go explore way down south. You could find yourself a little key that's no one's ever touched. You could be the first footprints on that key. Mm-hmm. You could really spend some time and find
It's changed a lot because of technology. You're correct, John.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then just touch on the flight service as well. We're forever ramping up more flight services from far off destinations. We were talking about Paris down in San Salvador. We have daily flights from London going right into Nassau. When you touch that, you could jump on a seaplane and be right back on any one of these secluded keys or beaches. But we also have special places, you know, throughout the Exumas and Eleuthera and Abaco, where you could really have a fine dining experience and find that little beach to go on. The turtles and dolphins and everything that makes the Bahamas what it is. The fishing has really come back nicely. You know, the pandemic was a downfall, but it really gave nature a little chance, and now it's like it's a brand new fishing, diving experience because everything's just rebounds so nicely, and it truly is special. You can't really put it into words until you go down there and really touch and feel and smell what it is to be Bahamian.
Yeah, and just one final thing on the airports. So not only is it great for private aircraft up to G5 and G6, but we have a lot of commercial aircraft because we all know that not everything's done on private, especially when it comes to crew changes, setting things in. So all of our out islands are really starting to ramp up with their commercial service too. and once again, I'll talk a little about North Eleuthera, but North Eleuthera alone, which is right in the center, we have 2 flights a day on Silver, a flight every day, sometimes twice a day from Miami on American, a flight on Delta from Atlanta, and these same services are being spread out throughout the rest of the out islands, into the Abacos and the Exumas, and so there's the airlift out of Fort Lauderdale is better than it's ever been to the out islands. So, and then moving on, we do want to talk a little bit about our flagship event for the Bahamas Ministry of Tourism, the IYBA, and the Association of Bahamas Marinas. And we're happy to be here today to talk about it, even as we talk about the Caribbean Charter Yacht Show, because we're kind of running them almost as sister shows. One is in December and one is in February. And so you're going to see a lot of look and feel between the two almost being the same, when it comes to the pricing for the yachts, the pricing for the brokers are all going to be the same. And we're going to really try to play off each other because they're far enough apart that one is kind of lending to one crowd that is in the Caribbean at one time a year. And then when ours is towards the end of February, it's more for the crowd that's here for the Miami show, for the Miami Yacht Show, and then can come over right after, because ours is right the week after the Miami Boat Show. So you'll be hearing a lot more about that in the coming months as well. But we are here to talk about that and spread the word. We've been trying to do it for 3 years, but we're finally going to do it this year. Mm-hmm. And we're real excited about it. So Erika, I'm going to let you, Erika is heading up the kind of the Nassau side of it. It will take place for us a little different than the other show. It's spread out among the whole downtown. So we're encompassing Bay Street Marina and Nassau Yacht Haven, Hurricane Hole, and Atlantis. And so we'll have boats in each, with the hub being at Bay Street Marina. But we're also going to have really cool events. We have the president of Baha Mar hosting all the brokers one evening at Baha Mar, and the president over at Hurricane Hole, the owner of the new Super Yacht Marina, hosting an event there for the evening. We're going to have crew events every single evening. So it's going to be a lot of fun and just really going to showcase the Bahamas for what we can present and offer to not only charter brokers, but to charter guests and to charter yachts.
Right.
So Erika's talk a little bit about it.
Obviously, it is an opportunity for brokers to come in and look at the yachts. But we also want to highlight not just what the Bahamas has to offer geographically, but service-wise. So we're going to have a marina village where all the member marinas of the Association of Bahamas Marinas will be present. So brokers can come and talk to them. We'll have all of Exuma together, for example, all of Eleuthera. So if you've never been there, they can help you with that. And then we're going to have a vendor village so that you can, not just the brokers, but the yacht crew can find out what we have to offer support-wise. And we do have a lot of fun events planned as well for everyone.
Yeah, so
I'd just like to add to that, this is another offset of the renewed focus on this particular industry. The yachting is within my carriage, and we'll be doing a lot of these fun events and more of a direct focus on having a fluid, intuitive experience coming in and out of the Bahamas, and really be able to enjoy what it is that we have in our 100,000 square mile archipelago.
Great. So does anybody have any questions on chartering in the Bahamas or anything that they'd like to ask us when it comes to that side of our conversation today?
Are you limiting their questions, Joe?
No. So, Paul, if you don't mind, before we move into the next section, because I know everybody wants to talk, where's Daphne? Is Daphne here? Yeah, okay.
She's been trying to hide, Joe.
So,
Leave the
Paul,
poor lady alone.
You could work your way during the first section near Daphne so that she can have the microphone as well. The reason, I'll explain in a minute why, because Daphne's been involved in this. So, obviously, everybody knows that the Bahamas government has instituted VAT on charter of 10%. Mm-hmm. It is in addition to the 4% charter fee that we already had. This was and was presented as law in June of this year of 2022. It was implemented and started on July 1st. Was the law presented before the the horse before the cart scenario a little bit? Yes. And we're here to say we know that it was. Okay? But since then, we were able to put together a small select group and committee that the Prime Minister himself put together. I could speak on behalf of that committee because I was only one of 5 people that were put on the committee. And essentially, when the law came out, it was suggesting that every yacht was going to have a VIN or TIN or VAT number that went along with a business license. And so when that first circulated, immediately I got a million calls from the Daphnes and the Nicoles and Miss Terry, that was going to be really something that would almost be impossible. We knew it was impossible. I think the people that we call it, just so you know, you're going to hear the word every now and then, inland revenue. The Inland Revenue Department is the same thing as your IRS in the Bahamas. So when Inland Revenue wrote the law, they really didn't quite honestly understand everything there was to know, not only about yachting, but definitely about chartering. But I will say that we put this committee together with the Ministry of Tourism and Dr. Romora and myself from the ABM, and then the Inland Revenue attorneys. And we sat in Nassau and we sat on many meetings trying to educate them on what chartering even was. We eventually got to a point where there were a lot of things that I didn't even completely understand because I am not a charter manager nor a charter broker. I am in the resort and marina business. I tie boats up and we feed people and tuck them in at night. So I knew that we needed to get somebody that understood this. I reached out to Paul. I understood because I've been part of this group and at this particular seminar for about 9 years now, that the IYBA has a great charter committee. And so he has assigned Daphne to be the spokesperson for the IYBA in filtering us questions. And so I know a lot of them were the same questions that I'd already gotten from the Nicoles and the Terrys, and we kind of combined them together. Then we went to the government and we asked very politely if we were allowed to have somebody from the outside world come into these meetings, and they agreed. And so Daphne was allowed in to not only listen, but give her feedback. And I will tell you guys that on behalf of the IYBA and the worldwide chartering organizations, she spoke her mind and she did a great job of speaking up. And so as we stand today, we're going to open up the questions and I'm going to let Erika speak on it a little bit and even John, because they know it fairly well also. But where we stand today, as we speak, they did come out with a position paper about 5 days before the Monaco Yacht Show because we told them that was our deadline. In that position paper, it clearly states that there'll be obviously 10% on charter. In there, it also goes into, and I'm not going to get into every detail today because we can get it to you if you don't already have it. It also goes into VAT on APA and VAT on provisioning and which provisioning doesn't get VAT and so forth. So, but at the end of the day, they still left open a little bit of room to play with. And one of my things when we went to Monaco was to get Mr. Pinder and Dr. Romora in front of a lot of people that had a lot of questions on that, so they would hear it before we even got here today. So I will tell you that we only arrived back on Monday, and today is Thursday. So I can tell you right now, John probably doesn't have all his answers yet. So I hope that we can do this politely and out of respect for our government. He is a member of our parliament. He'll answer the questions the best he can. When we get to the point where Paul's going to cut us off, we have 2 tables out here, and myself and Erika will not leave here today until you ask every one of your questions if we don't answer it right now. Okay? That's my commitment and my promise to you. So I will let Erika speak a little bit, and then John, and then we'll take the questions.
Yeah, I'm just going to simplify it. Well, first of all, we have the first Bahamian yacht survey company has opened Bahamas Central, which is headed by Ian Seeley. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today, but if any of you want his contact information, come find me, I can give it to you. He has already registered a few yachts for their TIN number, which is the tax identification number that you need to file VAT. And it is...
I apologize. I just got to say one thing before you, because I brought it up. When we went to the government in the first round before Daphne was in, because this is important to what she's about to say, we were able to eliminate having to have a business license.
Right.
That was a huge thing, because enable for a foreign flag vessel or any type of foreign company, a foreigner to come in and own any type of company in the bond, it is very difficult and takes a long legal process.
Right.
So we were able to remove that. So the VAT and TIN number that she is now going to talk about is specific for the yachting. Matter of fact, this Inland Revenue Department has created it just for yachting.
Correct.
It's your regular TIN number, but it's not attached to a business license. It's just being attached to that yacht. So I'm sorry, Erika.
Right. No,
I
that's
didn't want to
fine.
explain
That's
that. Yeah.
fine. But it's not as difficult as we thought it was going to be. So Ian has already gotten a few yachts already set up with their TIN numbers. And the way VAT works in very simplistic terms, you have your output, so that would be your charter fee. So for example, you have a charter that costs $100,000, your VAT is going to be $10,000. Then you have your input, which will be your expenses, your provisions, your dockage, etc. So say you spend $60,000, your VAT is going to be $6,000. You take your input away from your output, so you take the $6,000 from the 10, and you're left with $4,000, and that's what you pay. So so in very simplistic terms, that's how it's going to work. So it's not as catastrophic as everyone were worried it was going to be.
So,
Nobody told us there'd be math.
so VAT is VAT, and it's accounted for just like it is in
Please.
other countries that have VAT. So the VAT that you're paying out for procurements for fuel and other maintenance costs and whatnot are taken away from the VAT that is paid via the charter, the cost of the charter, so to say, just as Erika was putting out. So if any of you know anything about VAT, that's how VAT works, and it's a payout minus what you paid in, basically. It's something that was implemented some time ago. Only now is Inland Revenue pushing forward on this, and it's a first step of what we're doing to regularize everything, and it's going to help with the digitization of how yachts come in and out of our country, and how we do business. Is also, I'll put this out there, it's money's well needed to keep up our national parks and keep the pristine waters that we have and the air quality, but it's really a step forward to finalize the VAT implementation that was done many years ago. So as we're going through the trials and tribulations, so to say, there will be some adjustment, but the adjustment is not going to come, we won't be adjusted from that 10% VAT. So accounting is VAT. VAT accounting is the same whether it's in the Bahamas or it's in another country, the UK or whatever it may be, that also charges VAT.
And before anybody, please, Daphne, do you want to maybe give your 2 cents on what you picked up from the meetings? And
Can I just jump in? I actually do have an example of a VAT, filing. So if anyone wants to see me outside later, I'm happy to show you.
I think it's important for us in the early stages not to get too caught up in, at what point are the refund, so to speak, for lack of a better description of how it is legally described, on expenses or APA provisioning services are then deducted from the full pay, 10% paid in, because for us it seems like our clients are never going to get their money back. How do we do that, right? So my intention is to just make sure everybody here knows that that's why we should be looking at the services of the agents in the Bahamas to help with this, and not for us to feel like we have to tell our boats how to do this. because we rely on fiscal agents in Europe to do this. It's not our job to know how VAT works. Yes,
Right.
the general concept, I think, we need to know for our owners and our captains, and we will get through this process with the help of the Bahamians that are there to support
And
us.
just so to answer that, so there are I think it's five certified agents that are in the yacht agency industry in Nassau, two of which are here today, so Bahama-centric and United Shipping. So they're here to answer any questions as well.
But to piggyback on what Daphne just said, it's not a refund. So you don't pay the $10,000 and then wait for your $4,000 back. You do the calculations before you submit it. So, and it's all online, and it's pretty sort of simple.
It's done by the quarter.
But right, so you have to file by the 21st of the following month of the quarter. So what you'll do is you'll do the calculations first. So when you're left with the $4,000, then you submit the $4,000. You don't pay the $10,000 and then wait for your $6,000 back, because then, yes, that could be a...
I have a question over on this side.
Hi, my name is Margot. I'm actually not going to ask a question. I'm just going to give you a little insight. I represent Bahama Central, not Centric, and we're one of the top 5 agencies that has been dealing with the Department of Inland Revenue as well. And we have done a trial run with 4 yachts, all different sizes, in terms of registering for the TIN and then how to actually get onto a portal to pay your VAT without a business license. It's really trial and error, and we're working along with the Department of Revenue, like constantly, like even up until this morning. I've been emailing them so I could get answers and give you all an example of how it's going to go, because, yeah, so now we get the TIN number, but how do we, because as a business, you have to have a business license to get into the portal. So how does somebody do that if they don't have an actual office in the Bahamas for, inspection, blah, blah, blah. And these things that the Department of Inland Revenue didn't even think about, but now we're going through the process, and now these things are being tweaked daily. And we want to keep you up to date with everything. So I think if you just we have a lot of you guys on our newsletters, and we're going to keep sending out newsletters, and yeah, we're all working together. And I just wanted to put that in there, that it is a process in the making, and we are really trying to tweak it.
Let me, for sake of time, everyone, I think this is a very important topic. I would like to commend everyone here, because this is the dialogue that advances communication. I think what Eva, Paul, Bob, and your committees have done is advance a discussion of intelligence. We have some excellent representatives here. So we are going to head to a break, but because this is an important topic, we're going to take one more question. But please remember, the reason we have this and keep the time is that Joe's not going anywhere, the representative's not going anywhere. We've got tables outside to ask these questions, but thank you. It's very insightful, so we'll take one more question, then we'll break, and then we're going to come back at 10:30 to remain on time. Everyone cool with that? Mm-hmm. Okay, one more question.
This is a really quick yes or no. Is this program industry specific to yachting, or would this apply to, say, a seaplane operation?
So that is across board for all businesses and business activities done throughout the Bahamas. We wouldn't want to mix or match apples and oranges. So the no business license, VAT TIN, for the purposes of paying VAT is for the yachts. Let's just leave it there without too much confusion. But I would like to say that there is a paper on Inland Revenue's website. Joe also has it, that has a further explanation on it. Mm-hmm. And as we iron out some of these wrinkles, we will be making press releases, because it is our focus to make it a fluid, easy transition to chartering in the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to answer your question just a little further, all businesses in the Bahamas have been paying VAT on everything for 5 years. It just, let's just say the yachting sector kind of fell through the cracks.
And just very quickly, vessels can now become Bahamian flag through Bahama Central, so it makes it even easier.
And that's a positive note. from there. Thank you all for the attention. You have a break. We'll see you at 10:30. Thank you, Joe, Representative John, Pinder, and Erika.